Am I ever coming back to America from Thailand? And what are my thoughts on the pros and cons of this place after 3 months? Let's get into it, guys. I've been here for almost 3 months now, but of that 3 months, I've spent about a month in places such as Hong Kong, Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, Cambodia, Phnom Penh, and Siem Reap, Pattaya for Rolling Loud. I went to Hua Hin, which is a common, vacation spot for people from Bangkok. Also, a ton of retired Aussies there. I had no clue it was going to be like Queensland or something like that, Australia. But I've got to say, of all the places that I've been, Bangkok has been my favorite so far. Ekamai is my favorite neighborhood. I feel like it's not the best at anything, but it's got like 7 to 8 to 9 out of 10 at everything. It's a little bit like the kettlebell of neighborhoods. The kettlebell, it ain't the 10 out of 10 at anything, but if you only got one thing to work out with, you might want to make it a kettlebell. And I just think that there's a lot of reasons why Bangkok won the most visited city in the world for 2024. And it is well on its way, like tracking the current metrics for 2025, is going to be the top of the 2025 list for most touristed city in the entire world as well. Despite all this, despite the fact that the air pollution index, the AQI, is pretty bad. I don't think it's as bad as Beijing when I used to go like 13 years ago, but like 15 years ago, but it's relatively bad. You might want to wear a mask, especially if you're on a scooter, et cetera, et cetera. And I do see them wanting to continue this trend of being able to secure foreign capital inflows from tourism. Like we said, tourism to tourism-related industries, 20% of GDP. I want to say it's got to be the highest in the world for a larger, for a country with at least a medium-sized economy, right? And like we said, they're coming up with new laws to try to make it better for more people to come in, because if you guys know about the way economics work, like you can circulate the money within the citizens, but you need outside dollars being converted into baht, or, obviously it's got to be converted to USD first, sometimes then into baht. But they buy and sell all types of currencies at, super rich and things like that. Anyway, there's a new 60-kilometer speed limit. And I feel like that's really designed to show that maybe, the streets aren't as wild and crazy. You don't want somebody going down 80 kilometers down Sukhumvit, maybe it looks like they're about to kill a pedestrian, and that's not going to make it more friendly to get more money, especially from higher class individuals. And, there's new bus routes and things like that. I will say this before I get into my list of the pros and cons and things that I've realized after 3 months. I got to say that New York is in a polar vortex right now. Here's an image of Bangkok snowing. Here's what Bangkok actually looks like. And here are the two major images you're going to see when you arrive at Suvarnabhumi Airport and you depart Suvarnabhumi, okay? So those are your two things. So anyway, here are my 23 observations, guys. You want extreme consciousness content, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Check out SmileSauce at smilesauce.com. Listen, guys, first, number one, it takes a little bit of time to catch the details, to know the rhythm, to hit your stride, to find your footing, get settled. I still actually don't really know how to use a Thai bum gun. Here is like we said, sometimes in the hotels and in the lobby, depending on what condo you live in, you're gonna have the Toto Japanese toilet, but there's a more manual version with the bum gun. Hurts if you have hemorrhoids, but it's a little bit like, I remember going to New York 7, 8, 10 years ago, and it was like you were a local if you could get the Metro card swipe on a first try. Obviously, nowadays, they've sort of shifted away from that system. But I would say it took me a while to even know how to cross the street to feel confident enough. First of all, this is what I do, guys. First of all, you want to make eye contact. You might want to do a Y. You might want to just show some respect, because they, in the more superior predator vehicle, you're the prey as a pedestrian. You could get run over. You could get killed. You might want to just show them some respect. But one thing I learned is that if you cross at certain demarked like half crosswalks, that's way better, because usually there's an outlet for somebody to take a left turn, right? Because here they drive on the other side. They don't take the right turn out of the street, out of like side streets. They take the left turn. If you go near the left turn spots, obviously it's going to give you more, the people are more watchful for cars trying to make a left out. That's a great opportunity to run across the street. Also, other things, sausage IQ. For example, I'm such a big fan of Isan sausages, Chiang Mai sausages, lap churns, which are more of the Chinese sausages that you find in Bangkok. But I used to think that these round circular sausages were the same as the mini Isan sausages, and I didn't even know that the Chiang Mai sausages had all the ginger and the herbs baked in more so than like on the side, like the Isan sausages. So basically my sausage IQ, along with being able to cross the street, all the rhythms went up. And my ability to understand the rhythms. And that's sort of like getting your footing as a freshman in college or anything like that. But here's another thing is you're gonna try dishes that you never really had before in America, because we have a lot of Thai food in America, but typically it's gonna be focusing on the top 10, 20 dishes. Obviously, once you get to a country, there's 500 dishes, 1,000 dishes in the lexicon. But in your country, I would imagine a less advanced country than America or less international, maybe they only have access to like the top 5 Thai dishes, Tom Yum Goong, Pad Thai, Pad Siu. Obviously in America, depending on New York, now we're at like 20, 40 dishes. But yeah, like here, there's like 500. And probably my favorite one, and I'll just pop on some of the things here. By the way, I saw a ton of people in Cambodia drying salted fish on the side of the street. I'll say this, some of the Chiu Chow oyster omelets or crab omelets, those are really interesting. You've never had mango sticky rice with the pumpkin or the squash on the side. And there's a ton of soups in Isan like Geng Nao Mai, which is like a chicken herbal stew. And by the way, guys, if you try to avoid sugar and high fructose corn syrup, they have a ton of that in the American food here, which I would consider like Toasties. Toasties are primarily designed for non-Thai people. So everybody making videos about Toasties in Thailand, just know that that was designed for you. I've never seen a Thai person actually order a Toastie, to be honest. I'm not saying none ever have. I just never personally witnessed it before. Point number 2, you learn more Thai language expressions after a while. Like I said, I'm coming up on 3 months, even though I spent a month outside. And of course, guys, we're gonna learn how to call women beautiful, swai, right? It's funny because it sounds like shuai, like, which is handsome in Mandarin, but like a lot of the numbers, you know what I mean? Yisip Sam, you know, like it's driven from Teochew, Cantonese, Teochew, like some of the numbers, I would say about 80% of them sound very similar to Cantonese. So if you're Cantonese, you will be able to understand Thai numbers. Something's delicious, oroi mak mak, you know, you can double the mak. And like pet is spicy, like food terms, you know, chicken is gai, moo for pork, you know, pak, you know, there's chopsticks to keep. Of course, I look like I used to keeps, but like I'm always in restaurants asking for to keeps. You also learn some other insider stuff, like, so basically in Thailand, it's okay to call out which cultural sphere that a girl is leaning towards. So if she's leaning toward Western men, typically that means white men, that's Sai Fall. If she's leaning more towards Korean guys or more Asiatic look, Sai Gao. If she's going Arab, there's a, because you know Nana is the Arab zone, they got an Arab zone there, the Sai Arab, Sai ABC, which I guess I'm an ABC, you know what I mean? So these are all terms that indicate which cultural sphere that a Thai girl may be leaning towards in terms of the lifestyle she aspires to live, consumption patterns, or the guys that she may want to date or be in those circles, at least hang out with. And I think that that's actually true in America too. But for some reason, you're really not allowed to call it out. That's considered un-PC. Whereas here, they're just like, no, that is just what it is. We can just say, you know. And I actually appreciate that level of honesty. It reminds me of the honesty that we have in Asia around, like, whether if people with high body fat content or if they're fat, they're just like, yeah, eat too much sugar, fry, you fat, or, you know. Anyway, point number 3, in terms of using products, I feel like there's this, like, just like many things in life, there's like this sine curve. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna get here, just get Grab, right? To do everything out of, right? But then later you're gonna get Line Man and Food Panda and Bolt Food and like whatever other apps there is. There's so many different apps. And then eventually, at least if you're like me, you're gonna get sick of using all the Thai apps and then just go back to Grab, Lazada, and Agoda. I'm gonna book my flights to Agoda. And by the way, none of this is paid, by the way. I'm just saying, I noticed there's 2 different types of expats here. There's ones that wanna use like 10 to 15 different like Thai specific apps. You know, you can have ones from Watson's Thailand and all this other stuff. Oh, the other one I will shout out though, I do use MoveMe, which is for electric tuk-tuks, because that's like a whole really cool experience, but it sort of saves you from all the arguing and the negotiation and the blah, 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 blah. Point number 4, I'm just a little bit more picky on where I spend my time. For example, I think when you first arrive to a place, you're trying everything. Then when you are there a little bit longer, you just get picky again, right? Like I like Tapioca Rim, GOT, melodic hip hop spots that play Lauryn Hill, Raphael Sadiq. They also play Michael Jackson or whatever, Chris Brown. It reminds me of Fat Buddha in New York with the boom bap era backpack, NYC. You might hear Mos Def, Black Star, Talib Kweli, Definition, you know what I mean? And of course, if you want to hear more of like your street bangers, Sway, I think they'll play Gunna, Pop Smoke, who else is big in the, I don't even follow that style of, as much anymore. Point number 5, I finally found some local parks to play basketball at. I was going to Benchikidi, Benchasiri, and it was a little bit far from me. So I settled at Pink Skate Park in Ekamai. I like to keep things local, especially if I need to hoop for just an hour to, just keep the skills sharp. I will say the court there is incredibly slippery. So if somebody from the Thai government is watching this at all, please recoat Pink Skate Park's basketball court. It is way too slippery. But it's passable. And I noticed that there's like a lot of different things on Ekamai Road. Like I said, I live in Ekamai, and it's like there's different parts of it. Like the middle of Ekamai is kind of more like Tonglor, where it's very Japanese and trendy. And then the bottom of Ekamai near the BTS is for like divorced guys over 50, right? You've got Ekamai Beer House and Bourbon Street, which are almost like more wholesome versions of Nana. And it's like, and then you got Tops Fine Foods. You could just buy Western foods. And then, you get to Don Donkey and you're just buying everything is from Tokyo and Osaka and Kyoto and Hokkaido. And then you get back up there and then, there's there's Swenson's. If you guys know about Swenson's is a ice cream chain in America that went under in like 1995. They're still around in the San Francisco area a little bit, but then they made a lateral move out here and got like gigantic. So Swenson's, man, everybody's trying. If you didn't like your life in America, should you be so lucky to become the Swenson's of your own life and have that rebirth in Thailand, right? Point number 6, you bump into people around the neighborhood. Obviously, Tonglor, Ekamai, there's a lot of people that went to international school that have been, back and forth. We know somebody from, Ekamai that lives between Brooklyn and Ekamai, you know what I mean? And so bumping into people that definitely makes you feel like you're more home at a place. That's how I feel when I'm in the Lower East Side. That's how I feel like when I'm in Alhambra or, parts of Seattle. Point number 7, you learn that there are different levels of Isan food funk. So I think the thing that people really love about Isan food is how fresh and different it is and how mountainous it is. And it's got really good macros. It's usually just meat and veggies. However, the amount of fermented crab juice or fermented shrimp paste can vary a lot. I realized that the Isan spots in Ekamai and Tonglor, they're already toned down from what comes from like La Prau, which is like outside into a more local zone. And then obviously the Isan food that we would get in America, first of all, there's not a lot of Isan food, but it would be Lao, Isan, like that's already toned down for an American audience. So you got the American version, the Ekamai version, and then you got the outskirts of Bangkok version, then you probably got the Isan version, and it's just levels to this, man. It's just levels to this. It's levels to Chiang Mai food as well, Northern Thai food. There's levels to this seafood. I was just in Hua Hin. Hua Hin is, like I said, it's a vacation place for people coming out of Bangkok, like almost like a little, like going to, Rhode Island or something, or just a nice little, going to Napa for somebody from LA. And I realized the seafood there was better than Bangkok. You know what I mean? And point number 8, how good is Mark Wien's Ped Mark spot? So Mark Wien's has a Pad Kaprao spot that is famous for having a lot of raw eggs, and you can add like up to 5-6 eggs if you want. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. I would say that really it's the eggs and then the spiciness, but it is pretty reasonably priced for a like an influencer owned spot, and there's a lot of foreigners there. And I'll say this, RIP to one of the co-owners. I heard that he had a tragic scooter accident, and RIP to him. But it goes to show you, like, you can leave a legacy, and it's so crazy to think about it. But like, maybe in the future, a food spot is something that I'd be interested in doing, possibly. Point number 9, there are spots that influencers care about, specifically Western influencers care about, that I simply do not care about. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot, I'm not saying all of them, there are cool, ones that I met. But like, I would say a lot of the Western influencers specifically from like Australia or like England, are almost like failed wannabe Central C Kid Leroy types. And then of course you've got your wild ratchet bogans from Australia or Austria or whatever like that. Like basically it's like, I don't know, like it doesn't attract, like I'll say this, it's definitely different from Tokyo. I think even Tokyo has had its incidents, but Bangkok, it's not necessary. I think you get a variance, but what you stands out is the more misbehaved foreigners. And by the way, I get it. I'm not just faulting like whatever group of people. Like there's videos out there about like Indians and Pattaya. There's videos about like mainland Chinese letting their kids pee at a temple and things like that. And it's just like, man, it's just it's unfortunate, but I think that things take time, and as long as people call them out, they will begin to stem that behavior moving forward, while understanding that you can't really stop the bad tourists coming to Thailand quite yet, because it's just not perceived the same way as Japan and the enforcement and things like that. But it could get there as long as it's headed in the right direction. I'm not a big fan of rooftop bars, so that's why, like, a lot of foreign influencers, and I know I just lumped in the bad foreigners with the foreign influencers, but I know they're different. But like, a lot of the Tulum, Burning Man, Machu Picchu type spots, it's not my main thing. Point number 10. I think everybody uses nasal inhalers, right? That's so trendy out here. But realistically, I feel like there could be better solutions to feeling a little bit more awake or getting more airflow. Like I said, there's all these different types of nasal inhalers, big ones, small ones, dual ones. But I think that people need, or maybe there's a big market gap for like, people understanding how turbinate reduction surgery impacts your airflow. Neomed sinus rinses, nasal strips, magnetic strips, magnetic bars, azolastine, mometasone, internal nasal dilators, humidifiers. There's a lot of things that people could do to improve their breathing. I just feel like the inhaler industry, I get it, temporary relief, you get the menthol, whether or not, your actual nasal passages are being relaxed and the airflow, oxygen intake is being increased. It feels like it, but I just feel like it's a very short-term solution. Number 11, I just think that H&M and Zara, they do look good, especially Zara, right? Because it copycats all the other fashion brands that are higher end, but I think they're even more expensive in Thailand. So I would say take a look at Yed Pao on Shopee or Lazada, to be honest. Number 12, I'm still thinking about getting an air fryer. I don't know, because I just feel like, I do think that getting nice steaks is expensive though. Like getting nice steaks is expensive. You can get Isan steak. You can get the Isan steak, but the Crying Tiger, but to get Western steaks, they are expensive. Should I get an air fryer? I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it for just a few months. Point number 13, the reason why I feel like, despite the fact that Hong Kong has a skyscraper skyline density more similar to New York, even than Bangkok does, Bangkok's probably one notch below New York, right? And Hong Kong's one notch above New York. In Hong Kong, you don't really feel the wildness. You don't feel that vibe. Whereas, like, there's parts of New York that are super wild, and Bangkok feels wild as well, but not really when it comes to violence. Even though I'm gonna get into the whole like Chinese scam farm thing later. But point number 14, I think that getting the shrimp is never a bad option. In the West, getting the shrimp option with your dish, whether that's pad thai or whatever dish you're getting, is not only super expensive, but the shrimp might be frozen and not good. But here, the shrimp are gonna be large. That you might get some river prawns. You can suck the juice out of the head. It's just gonna taste shrimpy, but not in a bad way, because they just have access to very good and cheap shrimps. Here, like very good and cheap salmon in Seattle, because they farm them in the Pacific Northwest, right? It's just literally sometimes geo arbitrage, right? Point number 15, I don't know why tourists wear so many elephant pants, but it's a big thing. I saw it in Cambodia too, I got a Cambodia video coming out. I know it took a long time in the editing and the post-processing. See, that's why, if you hit me up at David B. Fung on Instagram, let me know your Instagram. And I need somebody to help me organize everything on the back end, all these flows and solve these things so everything can come out at the right time, and you can more feel it when it's like, it's still fresh, but it's just not as fresh as it could be. Moving on to number 16, here's the thing. I think when you get cheap street food or you get cheap massages, it's very hit or miss. You could get somebody where you're like, I can't believe that massage was $10. I can't believe that street food was $2, $1. That was amazing. All the way to like, man, that really felt like an $8 massage. That felt like a, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't get a lot of bang for my buck. And I just think it's very hit or miss. It could even be dependent on the spot, or even the masseuse, or how the masseuse was feeling that day. How many clients did she have prior? Like, or you know what I mean? So I just think that that's sort of like anything in life when like, it's almost like if you're buying stuff, I don't know, you guys, I'm not a big Temu guy, but just let me tell you this. Sometimes you might get something on Temu and you'll be like, I can't, but I just robbed Temu. I got such a high quality thing for such a low quality price, but there's other times where you're gonna be super disappointed or just neutral. Point number 17, the stray chill dogs outside of 7-Eleven. I mean, someone told me that the reason why all the dogs and the cats are so chill that you see in Bangkok is because they remove the misbehaving ones from the population. They don't kill them, but they remove them. That makes a lot of sense. Like, it's crazy because like in the West or some other countries, they might just round up every dog. But then here they almost like grade the animals on their behavior. Are they barking? Are they doing this, doing that? You know, I think that's fascinating. You know, like we said, there's so much like temple and Buddhist culture here. And of course, that's also interfacing with modern ways of doing things. And I'm sure that the planners of Bangkok are traveling all around the world and they're trying to find where everything can kind of like fuse properly, right? At a way that satisfies a lot of different parties enough, right? Point number 18, this is like kind of a random thing that I noticed, but Arabica Coffee, which is a chain from Japan, from Kyoto, the build outs are amazing in Bangkok. They're much better looking than the build outs in New York. Obviously, generally all the Asia build outs look better than the Western build outs, whether due to local operator or just investment or overhead costs or whatever. But just the coffee could be more inventive. Arabica, don't just be for the vibes. Please give me I get it. You guys got the beans from over here and here, but like, I just need some more better flavors. I don't know. I'm not saying, you know, some people are going to say, you know, you got to be a coffee purist or whatever, but that's just what I think. Point number 19, Terminal 21. I recently went there. It's a really interesting food court because there's a rich guy who owns Terminal 21 and he doesn't charge anybody rent. So you're able to basically deliver really good street food for prices from back in the day, 30, 40, 50 baht for like very relatively high quality street food. So everybody should check out Terminal 21. Pretty cool. You know, it'd be triple price at Emporium or M-Sphere or something like that, maybe quadruple, but it would be in a more swaggy, vibey environment too. It just depends on what you value, what's your budget like, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody's different. Point number 20, I think that you can catch a vibe in Bangkok just by being out and doing stuff. You don't really need to look up Time Out Bangkok or obviously the super old school one is Lonely Planet or whatever. Like, I don't know if you even need to go to monuments. I think if you went to the best 1 to 3 temples, you don't need to go to 30 temples after you've been to the top 3, provided that you actually engage. You know, some people have things against that or with that, but like, you know, you like the incense and you do, if you actually participate in it, then for me at least, I'm not into going to 30 of them. But I did when I was in Cambodia. I think we went to 10. Number 21. There's a lot more foreign workers nowadays working in Thailand from Laos, Burma, Cambodia. And it's so interesting because I was petting the tigers in Pattaya. And I just remember that like we were ordering food. We had somebody Thai with us. And then the server couldn't even barely speak Thai because they were from Burma. They could speak Thai, but just, you know, to get the to get the order right with all the specificity, everybody, you know, somebody can't do gluten, somebody can't do this and this, somebody's drink needs to have less sugar, extra sugar. That was getting kind of crazy. And I remember I was like, oh, that's so fascinating that Thailand's tourism industry is booming, that not only people from like other faraway rural regions are moving to Bangkok, but to those rural regions, other people are moving from other countries to work in the hospitality industry here. So very interesting. Number 22, I think the 24/7 Starbucks are some of the just best design that I've ever seen, whether that's in, there's one at M. Cordier and there's one in Ekamai that I just think are really great places to get work done. Yeah, last but not least, guys, I just think that, that's my brain dump. Those are things that I've been seeing, experiencing, feeling. Tell me if they cross-reference with your experience, whether you live in Thailand or you just visited. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of Thai people in the comments as well. What's up to you guys? And yeah, like in terms of do I see myself being in Thailand long-term? I would like to. I like to, we'll see how it goes. But you know what? Is the thing that it's really dependent on is having a career and like me being able to do what I want to do at the level that I want to be able to do it. I got a video that's coming out about the decline of the West. Is like, are people optimistic now? There's a new administration in, or this or that. I just think that everything nowadays, the answer is more individualized than it ever was. I think it's a lot more individualized than when it was in our parents' generation, where it was like, come to America, come to Canada, come to Australia. But obviously, America, you earn the most, even though Canada and Australia are more, I guess, in a way, pleasant, less roller coaster like. But America's like, if you want to soar to the highest peaks, you got to be in America too. So, I mean, listen, guys, hit me up, David B. Fung, email. I'm looking for a full-time worker here in Bangkok for at least the next 3 months, and then maybe beyond. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. What are you guys feeling about you guys' trips right now? Like, would you want to live abroad in the future? And which countries would that be in? Would that be in a country like Thailand or Bangkok, or would it be somewhere else? And what are your reasons? What are your pros and cons that you would list out for yourself? Make sure you sign up for Tiger Club in the Google form below. And until next time, I'm out. Peace.